Good morning, everyone. This is Camila with the City of Wichita. This meeting is now officially live on Facebook under Wichita District 1 if you would like to share it. This is Camila Alexander, Community Service Representative for District 1, coming in to begin our meeting. Would like to start by saying this is initially started on Zoom and linked to Facebook. So there is a 1 minute lag of conversation for Facebook to hear and have the opportunity to respond. So we may circle back if a conversation ends, but there's another comment under the Facebook chat versus the Zoom chat. That's where we get most of our dialogue for the Saturday District 1 virtual breakfast discussions. We'd like to thank everyone who's joined in. The Vice Mayor / Councilmember Johnson will be joining us in a few minutes. But we'd like to go ahead and have you start introductions and begin our conversation.
Okay, so Camila, is that my cue?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Well, my name is Ron Coker. I'm with Burns McDonnell and part of the Wichita Water Partner team that is building the city's new water treatment plant. I'm going to let some other members of my team introduce themselves real quick, and then we'll give you an update of where we are on construction. How about we start with Christina?
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Ron. My name is Christina Long. I am the owner of CML Collective here in Wichita, Kansas, and I am a proud partner with Burns & McDonnell on the Wichita Water Treatment Project and its community engagement outlets and efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. How about you, Donna?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Donna Wright. I'm managing principal of Kansas Business Services, and we have the pleasure of working with the Wichita Water Partners as their supplier diversity consultant. We're pleased to be here with you this morning.
Thank you, Donna. Darius.
Hi, thank you for having us here this morning. My name is Darius Wright. I'm a principal and senior research analyst with Kansas Business Services. Proud to be a partner of Wichita Water Partners, and glad that we could be here to help today.
Great, Darius. Thank you. Drew.
Good morning. I'm Drew Matrician with Burns & McDonnell and Wichita Water Partners Project, and I support public outreach and communications for the team.
All right, and Drew is going to drive our presentation today. So while he gets that up, I might just first start by saying thank you to the Vice Mayor and for everyone joining the meeting today and giving us the opportunity to update you on an important project in Wichita. If you're not familiar with the project, this is the Northwest Water Facility. It will be a new water treatment plant for Wichita. It's a $500 million project. It's replacing the city's main water treatment plant, which is now about 80 years old. So it's time for reinvestment in your infrastructure for the next several generations of Wichitans as we go forward. And another important element of this project is that it helps protect the city's water supply, because we now can treat diverse or different water supplies, both groundwater and surface water, which makes the city more drought resilient and in better position to serve the customers and the citizens and the businesses of Wichita. So we'll get started here. I'm going to give you just a quick update on where we stand with design and construction. This is a design build project, so this team is doing both design and construction on it. Design is well underway, but not yet complete, and construction has started as well. So let's first look at design and see where we are. Go ahead, Drew. Okay, so this is a big project site. The project is right across from the Sedgwick County Zoo, to orient you within the city. You can see there's lots of elements. I'm not going to get into the details on each one of these and what they do, but we've got percent complete showing there to show you that where we stand with respect to the design on each one of those elements. We've got 4 primary partners doing the design. Burns McDonnell and our national design partner, HDR. And then we have local firms, MKEC and PEC, as well as several architecture firms and other design firms within the city. So McAfee Architects, GLMV, and Schaefer Johnson as well. So if we want to take a look at the model, it'll give you a little better perspective of what this project looks like as we're moving forward. So there you can see the project. Now remember, this project takes water from Cheney Reservoir, or the Equispeds Aquifer, and brings it into the facility. We take material out of the water, then we filter it and treat it, disinfect it, and put it into the system. So this is your primary plant, and it goes through several processes as we work through the plant process to provide you clean and fresh water. Go ahead, Drew. When we think about the project in scale, it's a really large project. About 70,000 cubic yards of concrete are going to go into this new plant, 18 million pounds of rebar, almost 500,000 cubic yards of earthwork for the plant, 17 miles of pipe just within the plant site. So there's a tremendous amount of pipe within a water treatment plant this size. The project will treat about 120 million gallons per day, or have the capability to treat that much water. So there'll be lots of construction ahead of us. We're expecting about 1.6 million trade hours and about 350 workers at peak once we get to peak construction on the site. Go ahead, Drew. Okay, so there is the site, and the channel is in the background. You see Zoo Boulevard kind of in the background as well. The site was the site of an old sand pit, so dredging operation, and had a little bit of cleanup that we had to do on the site. The city actually started this early, so last spring. We started clearing the site, and go ahead, Drew. You can flip through these as I'm talking. We started clearing the site. We were fortunate to find a partner that worked with us to take all of the trees that were cleared from the site and use them in a biofuels. Stop right there, Drew. Use them in a biofuels process so that we were able to recycle what came off the site, which is always fantastic. Here you can see construction really starting in earnest this past January. So the site has 2 big tower cranes on it. So if you head up to the northwest part of town, you'll see those cranes for sure. Here you're seeing activity getting ready for the foundation under many of the facilities. We had some bad material that had to be removed. That's what's happening here. Go ahead, Drew. I put this project picture in just to remind us all that construction doesn't stop just when it's cold. So in February, when we had that terrible cold snap, we were still on site working on this project and trying to get it ready. And then I think I have one more construction photo for you that gives you good perspective. There you go again. That's Zoo Boulevard in the background. There's the two construction cranes, tower cranes on the project sites. And you're seeing a lot of the foundation work starting in some of the process areas of the plant. So very early into construction, still pretty early into design as well, but certainly making progress as we go forward. Okay, so one of the most important things about a project of this scale for a community like Wichita is how do you take a $500 million investment and turn it into economic development within the community itself? And the best way to do that is to have Wichita firms participating, being involved, helping construct and design this plant. So one of the first things that kicked off the new year was this virtual procurement event. Obviously, COVID still has us doing many things online, just like this meeting today. So this was our first virtual procurement event. We had, Darius, how many people did we have attend the event?
Over 40, Ron.
Yeah, over 40 interested companies joined the event. Drew, you can go on to the next slide. We did breakout sessions as part of it so that everybody could ask questions in a little smaller format in areas that they were interested. Also, thanks to Wayne Bell, who did a breakout session for us as well on bonding and other elements needed for small business construction companies. So there you can see some of the breakouts. We sure do appreciate everybody that attended. I hope that somebody on this meeting was able to attend that as well, because I hope you're interested in working on the project. Darius and Donna Wright with Kansas Business Services are helping with procurement on the project, and in particular, we're helping them. They're helping us with finding local firms to participate in the project, disadvantaged businesses, emerging businesses. Businesses that can really use the project to not just help us construct the project, but use the project to help propel their business. So I'm going to turn it over to Darius now, and we'll talk a little bit about how some of this first procurement has looked on the project site.
Thank you so much, Ron. Yeah, utilizing our experience and background in supplier diversity and supply chain management. Our key focuses in support with Wichita Water Partners is really making sure that underserved business communities, all small businesses within Wichita and the surrounding region are able to participate inside this program. So Drew, if you move the slide forward, this is a list about all of the current partner firms that are currently under contract. And so just to be aware, you see that there are a lot of different companies there. These are diverse businesses spanning all across the Midwest, with a good amount of them being directly in Kansas or right next door to us in Missouri, all with their own very specific expertise. We have design firms, we have services firms that are not just design, such as KBS or CML Collective. We've got engineering firms, we've got insurance providers, we've got janitorial services, construction. So it's a diverse group of individuals. And this list continues to grow month over month as the project continues to move forward. So you will continue to see this list grow. Sure. Go ahead, Drew.
There's a long lag. Sorry, Darius. It should be going.
You're fine, Drew. So let's talk a little bit about the procurement process. So procurement being how we are buying things, products, services, goods from these diverse businesses. And in particular, what KBS is doing to partner with Wichita Water Partners. And it all starts with the collaborative process to define potential packages, okay? So in application, what this looks like is there is a construction schedule from now to 2025 that says that we intend to be at this juncture in the project doing this or doing that, procuring this, buying this, and having these things available so that the project can move forward seamlessly. Well, part of the collaboration is making sure that small businesses and diverse businesses are in mind when the actual packages or bids are being put together. So working closely with the head of procurement for Wichita Water Partners, we collaboratively work together to identify projects where we can get massive small business and this advantage business enterprise participation. That might look like developing shelving and pallets for logistics in a warehouse, or concrete work, or where can we get small business to provide services such as janitorial or cleanup, or where can we get demolition companies to come in or do some dirt or trench work. There are already been a large number of projects where Wichita Water Partners reaches out directly and says, hey, where can we get increased minority, women-owned, and other small business participation? And Kansas Business Services, utilizing databases and resources that we have available, are able to inject a number of companies into the bid process. Now, what that will also look like going forward is discussions on which packages we have can actually be broken down into smaller lots or smaller bids, so that we can provide less risk opportunities to some of these small businesses as well. What that might look like is, instead of a concrete package going to only one vendor, we might see if we can break that up into 3 smaller packages in order to give someone a chance to provide that critical supply that we need. And that's just as an example. Once we've actually come up with the packages and we get the bids out or ready to go out, we focus on bidder participation and qualification reviews. So it's not just enough to give names or companies that we have verified are either small business, minority owned, women owned, or some other disadvantaged business, but it's really a process of making sure that these companies can actually participate, that they're going to be responsive, because that is a challenge, is to make sure that owner operators are able to participate in different events or participate in bids. And we also will help qualify these companies by looking at past performance that they have, talking to other partners in the industry, such as some of the first tier subcontractors. Who are they utilizing? Who are the small businesses that they've worked with that they know have a good track record? And we help to make sure that qualified businesses are brought to the table, because just as important as opening up inclusion or equity or access to these opportunities is making sure that the right companies are working on the project. And that means companies who either have capacity now or will have the ability to build that capacity at such a way that it's not a risk to their company. For instance, a firm may want to do a job that might be relatively big to them, but in terms of the scope of our total work is a small project. But that contract that they could be awarded may have some upfront cost. Wichita Water Partners is concerned that we don't overload small disadvantaged businesses with so much work that they don't have the capacity to manage them, and then their business fails because they can't meet the gaps of cash flow. And so we're very intentional about making sure that we partner the right small businesses on the right projects with the right packages. And that is something that is very important and very intentional for a large company to do, to make sure that there's not only success for small businesses, but success for the entire program and the entire project. Thirdly, what we do is a lot of data sharing. So there's a lot of Excels and hard documents and collaborations between Wichita Water Partners, Alberici contractors, and Burns and McDonnell, first tier contractors like Wildcat or UCI and others. And what we're doing is collecting on at least a monthly basis, and usually multiple times throughout a month, contract amounts and monthly spends and new contract commitments. And all this data is coming through, and we are massively and accurately trying to pinpoint exactly where are we making contract commitments, and who those companies are, what type of companies are they, and also trying to make sure it aligns with the internal goals that we have for small business participation and local participation. In particular, KBS, we help to make sure that the data that we receive is qualified, and there's a bit of due diligence that's done to make sure that the companies that identify themselves as a particular type of small business actually are that particular type of small business. And also that the contracts that they have, and in the future, the spend that they receive is accurate with the records that are provided by Wichita Water Partners or its first tier subcontractors. Fourthly, as I talked about, is we have second tier subcontractor information gathering. So this is a very complex process. When you've got, a large partnership, a Burns McDonnell Alberici or Wichita Water Partners, and a slew of key first tier subcontractors, or primes also they call them, then you've got subcontractors that these other businesses work with. And it's important that we, in what we call the value chain, identify where we are getting participation, contracts, and spend from all types of diverse and small businesses down through the ranks of all the buying, procurement, and purchasing that's happening. So collecting these reports is also a laborious process where we're making sure that we have pretty consistent and easy to follow reporting requirements for some of our larger subcontractors. So we capture if they're utilizing a minority business to haul supplies that they bought from a women-owned business, that we're capturing who the woman-owned business is they bought the supplies from, and who's the company, the minority business that's providing the logistics support for them, all the way down to the second tier. And even sometimes we're able to capture third tier information. But at the very least, we're capturing the flow of where money is moving, where contracts are moving over a period of time, and that's every month. Fifthly, what we're doing is certification verification, as I talked about earlier. What's important for us is to make sure that we are identifying firms that have an actual certification as either a small business, which the City of Wichita's EBE, or Emerging Business Enterprise program, helps to qualify. We're also looking for certified minority-owned businesses. These are companies that are at least 51% owned, managed, and controlled by people of certain racial ethnicities. We're looking for certified women-owned businesses, businesses that are at least 51% controlled by women. And we're looking for certified disadvantaged business enterprises. These are small businesses that may be women, may be minorities, or are businesses with owners that have a certain net worth that's underneath a federal threshold. And so part of the process is making sure that these companies have certifications that are still current. And obviously, most certifications are based on things such as the ownership. Ownership changes, and some of these are based on size of a business, whether or not the SBA declares them as a small business. And so throughout the life of this project, there are companies who will be coming in with new certifications and companies that will be growing as a result of them working on this project that may no longer qualify for the particular certification that they once had. Part of our job at KBS is making sure that we are ensuring that when someone says they are certified by some third-party regulatory authority, that their certifications are actually valid and that they are still in effect at that point in time. Also, we have outreach to firms and companies that are qualified for certification. So many times we have companies who aren't certified because they're unaware of the process, or maybe they've never packaged the paperwork or the applications that are necessary to get a particular type of certification. Part of our job is to make sure that these companies are provided all of the information, and sometimes it even includes us providing technical assistance to these businesses to ensure that they are going through the process correctly, that they have the contacts for the EBE program, such as the City of Wichita's Chris Hazlett, or the DBE program ran by Rhonda Harris at the Department of Commerce, or the Minority Supplier Development Council based out of Denver that oversees the region of Kansas that does MBE, or Minority Business Enterprise certifications. We make sure that the companies understand the application process, have access to the right paperwork, and are able to talk to the right counselors, as well as get some technical assistance from us to make sure that they get through the process And if they qualify for a particular certification, that they actually get that certification. And I'd like to say that we have also partnered with CML Collectives, particularly to help make sure that we are getting this information out. And this includes creating dynamic web content, reaching out to vendors, also making sure that we are doing this in a way that's really equitable and ensuring that we provide some of these resources in multiple languages as well to reach a wider audience of potential minority and small owned businesses. And lastly, we've got opportunity identification for enhanced participation. You know, there are regions in this state or places where there are small businesses that don't have access to the information that people in Wichita get on a regular basis. Maybe they're in Sumner County, Harvey County, Reno County, and their regular business is in that county, but they would love to do work here. So we're making sure that we not only just focus on the businesses that we know in Wichita, but make sure that we create opportunities and are regularly sending out blasts of emails, reaching out to companies, fielding questions or comments that come in through the Wichita Water Partners website, and ensuring that those individuals are having an opportunity to participate in future opportunities as well. Drew, you want to move forward? What we're going to talk about next is we're going to get a look at what some of the actual contractual commitments look like to date on our project. Because while we're still early in the project, Wichita Water Partners has had a very concerted effort to make sure that there is a lot of small business participation at various areas throughout the project. In particular, the city of Wichita has received a grant from the EPA to help support the efforts of this new water treatment facility. With that comes some requirements to track where we are getting small and other small business participation in some key areas that are identified by the EPA, including construction, equipment, supplies, and services. And so what you see right now is a graph that will continue for a couple of pages that breaks down two of the most important metrics that we have for measuring participation on this project. First is, where are we getting local participation? And when we say local participation, we are defining local as companies that are based in the surrounding 5-county area, or those companies that have a significant presence, including having an actual office in Wichita with staff that are working in the Wichita area. And the second thing we're looking at is certified business participation. And these certified businesses are what we call all BEs. So that can be EBEs, emerging business enterprises, which includes SBA identified small businesses. This is the minority business enterprises, or EBEs, women-owned business enterprises, or WBEs, and disadvantaged business enterprises, which are certified by the Department of Transportation, or DBEs. So all BEs. So we're capturing those numbers as well to make sure we hit our internal metrics. So in construction in particular, what we see is that right now we have a participation that is 92.9% local. It's equivalent to over $2.5 million. And our non-local spend, or 7.1%, is equivalent to almost $198,000. Now, what's important to note is that a lot of the service that happens upfront in a large design build project like this is actually design work. And that there's a lot of more structural or building construction that happens in different phases of the project. And so even as that number is large, numbers such as construction subcontracted value with local providers will continue to increase over time. Now, when we look at the subcontracted value or contracts that we have currently in place with the BEs, or those small certified businesses, we see that we've got 5.4%, or $148,000 over that much in participation on contract right now. Qualified businesses, though, are businesses that we believe can be certified. And so we're in the process of making sure they go through the requisite program for their particular company. And it's almost twice the size of the certified businesses at 14.4%, So we know that over time, we'll be able to increase our certified business participation in the construction subcontracts just by getting more companies certified who are currently eligible, but just haven't completed one of those regulatory processes. And again, as construction actually continues and there's more actual structural construction, we know that these numbers will increase because right now our other or majority owned businesses represent 80% of the subcontracted value. Next, we're going to look at one of the other categories that we're tracking, and that's in equipment. And so this is usually some of our heavy equipment. And what you'll see is that we have really, it's pretty slim right now, is just one set of equipment subcontracts that are currently exercised to date. And that represents $53,000 of our total contract commitments right now. And that is all local. Now, what's important to understand about large equipment or heavy equipment is that these businesses that are doing equipment like from a Cat or Deere or one of these large manufacturers, usually these manufacturers have defined regions for equipment sellers or resellers, and that is by territory. And so a lot of times you get a little bit of a conflict of this. One, do we utilize the local firm that has the equipment, which makes sure we get a good price and make sure that we are able to logistically have a shorter time frame for delivery of this equipment on site, versus if we do not have a minority owned equipment supplier in a local area, do we go outside of the local area to another state like Alabama or Georgia or Florida to get that minority business participation? In this regard, this is an area where we're being very thoughtful about what we can do, but the nature of this type of business where there are restrictions on how many companies can represent any particular manufacturer in a territory means that this is a place where we likely are going to focus on how do we continue to keep it local, and where we can bring in other supports of small businesses like the BEs, we will do that where it makes sense for the project.
And Darius, as Drew goes on to the next slide, it's a lot of that equipment as well will be the actual equipment in the plant. So pumps, different types of process equipment that will be used to treat the water as we go forward.
Thank you for that clarification, Ron. Next, we have services subcontracts. And you'll see to date, we've contracted over $26 million for services. And to clarify, a lot of this services is in the architecture and the engineering side. So again, as a design build project, one of the first things you have to do is actually design what you're going to build. And we have large participation from groups like HDR out of Kansas City that have a good amount of this, but also have a lot of minority businesses such as consultants that are local here and to Kansas City. And we'll highlight some of those later. But what you'll see right now is that we've got local participation at 29.8%, or nearly almost $8 million. And the non-local participation is 70.2% of $18 million. Now, part of that local participation is not just first tier subcontractors, but is also the second tier subcontractors. And so when we think of someone like a Dubois Consultants, which is a minority and a disadvantaged business enterprise certified firm, they have not only a first tier subcontract with Burns & McDonnell or Wichita Water Partners, they also are a subcontractor to HDR out of Kansas City. And so we're able to make sure that all the spend and all the contracts that are attributed to that small minority owned business are being captured in our particular spend. And you'll see that most readily in our certified businesses versus qualified businesses graph to the right, where we show right now we have 8.9% or over $2 million in contract commitments with BE firms, small businesses, minority women-owned businesses, disadvantaged businesses, and a sliver of a little less than 1% of qualified businesses, in contrast to the 90.2% or over $23 million that we have currently contracted for services. And again, earlier on in the project, still going out to 2025, there is a lot of time and a lot of phases of the project where we'll have room to increase this contract commitments throughout that period of performance. And then we go to suppliers. And this is talking about raw materials, things that we might be buying or are utilizing. Those are things like rebar, concrete, and other things. You'll see that to date, there's $24 million spent. There is 79% that is local, 21% that is non-local. And again, you'll see that right now, we have 99.9% that is in majority-owned businesses, and that we have a sliver of qualified business participation. And right now, we have not identified any certified businesses, any of the BEs that are suppliers that we could work with. So this information that we're collecting on a monthly basis in real time is helping us to identify where there are opportunities for us to seek out more businesses. And so what we do is then reach out to first-tier contractors and KBS. We do more diligence to go out and hunt down and find these particular businesses so that if they are available, willing to participate in this project, we can capture their participation as well. I'll let Drew move over to the next slide.
Oh, it's there. This is the total, Darius.
Okay. Awesome. Well, with that then, I believe, are there any particular questions about the data that's been presented, either about the process for how KBS is working with Wichita Water Partners and how we're creating packages, identifying small business participation and reaching out to small businesses, or about the numbers for the current contracts that we have?
Thank you, Darius. This is Camila chiming in to say anyone on Zoom is welcome to unmute from the public, and anyone listening on Facebook can leave comments and we will get back to them even if the conversation proceeds.
Yeah, so I just might say while we're giving everybody just a minute to see if they have any questions. Darius, one, thanks for going through that in detail. This is the $54 million is what's been contracted to date. So not all of that has been put in place yet. Those are just the initial contracts for the project. Most of this work has been awarded in the first 3 months of this year. And it changes every day. So every day we let a new contract, it changes those percentages, it changes the dynamic between local and non-local and majority and disadvantaged business participation. So it's, for us, we're always looking at trends. Do we see opportunity to move forward, and do we have a good plan to make sure that we achieve the goals that we've set for ourselves as part of this project? So lots of work still to do. Remember, this is a $500 million contract. So there's still lots of work to do. And if you've got a business that you think could work on a project like this, or that you think has the potential or it's the current capability to work on a project like this, and you're not in contact with us yet, make sure you get in contact, because the city's making this investment on the water treatment plant, but they're getting ready to make a similar investment in their wastewater facilities. So there's nearly $850 million that the city is going to spend in the next 5 to 7 years rebuilding its water and wastewater infrastructure. So if you can get your business plugged in and doing this type of work early in this contract, it's going to give you a long runway to build that business out and make sure you help the city both deliver those projects and capture the opportunity that those investments make within the community.
Ron, we've got a question from Lonnie Wright that says, how many people are monitoring and checking that many contracts? And if I can weigh in from the perspective of as a partner on the project, and maybe Ron can speak to the real number of staff that is just at Burns and McDonald that helped track this number. But this is a completely collaborative process of the joint venture and its first tier subcontractor. So maybe I'll give you some scope of how many people it is. Alberici, the construction contractor, has its own staff that are weighing in on these numbers on a regular basis. And the number of individuals that I specifically work with include at least 3 to 5 individuals who are helping to not only procure contracts, oversee contracts, and then from their corporate office, they have their own participation and support from that office to help with some of the support. We are also working with all of our first tier subcontractors, and there are about 10 or more right now that have the opportunity themselves to subcontract work. And we're getting second tier subcontractor reports from them on a monthly basis. So that includes those individuals who are overseeing their spend dollars and their contract dollars and reporting them to us. There's KBS, and we have 2 individuals in particular who are looking at this information on a regular basis. And then of course, there's Burns and McDonnell that has a staff that are also overlooking these dollars. And Ron might be able to speak to the number that they have, but there are a number of collaborative companies who have designated personnel who are all looking at these numbers and exchanging the data. I would say right now, my guess estimate is anywhere between 10 and 20 individuals who are in the process or are actually looking at and dealing with these numbers. And Ron, you might want to qualify
Yeah,
that.
I think that's probably right. That a portion of their day is spent looking at these numbers, right? And we also have at Burns and Mac, we have our supplier diversity group and our procurement team looking at the trends and the numbers, and then the leadership team and the project looks at that as well, so that we can forecast where we think opportunities might exist and how do we take advantage of those opportunities to award work in support of these goals.
Hey, everyone. Great presentation so far. I would ask to both Darius and Ron, what would you say to a business that may not believe they're qualified to work on this project? Should they reach out to you? How should they reach out? Should they doubt themselves if they don't have the bonding or insurance? Are you a group that could help them through that process?
Want to start that?
I'll start, but I want to tee up that I will let Ron speak to bonding and insurance, because there's some very special things that Wichita Water Partners and other partners like SBA are doing to speak to those kind of issues. But whether or not a business feels like, well, am I qualified? Well, we've got an open door policy. If you go to the Wichita Water Partners website, Wichita Water Works, and you go to contact us or you're an interested vendor, there is a portal there that you can communicate to us what type of business you are, whether or not you're a vendor who provides supplies or equipment, or you have a service you provide, or you're a contractor in construction. Identify that type of work, your business name, and in some more information. It goes into a system that immediately comes to groups like myself and some other employees with Wichita Water Partners. And so there are a number of people that automatically look at that information, and we're able to get back with those people individually and pretty quickly. Or you can reach out to Kansas Business Services through our website, and you can fill out our contact form and ask questions. And what we say to them is that, one, don't doubt yourself. In such a large project as this, that's going to be going on for the next 4 years, just this side of the project, there are lots of opportunities, and there are new opportunities that can be created inside of opportunities. We talk about packaging or right sizing, where we feel that there's an opportunity to break up packages to make them smaller, to get more participation, decrease risk for small businesses. We'll take those opportunities. And so not only are there opportunities directly working with Wichita Water Partners, we have so many great first tier subcontractors who are looking for those businesses to participate with them, not only on this project, but on projects that they're doing going into the future. Donlinger, UCI, Wildcat, these are larger construction companies that are local and are doing projects all the time, and they're continuing to look for a diverse group of small businesses to work with them. So you can reach out to those contractors as well as a way to participate in this contract. I would say that it's not enough for you to just think that you can't do it. you need to qualify that you actually can't do it. That's part of entrepreneurship, is that you take the risk, and the only risk you're taking is finding out whether or not you're poised to do this work right now. And just because you're not poised to do the work right now doesn't mean that you're not going to be ready to do the work a year from now, 2 years from now. And so as you build capacity and see what it actually takes from a revenue perspective, a cash flow perspective, having a conversation with the Wichita Water Partners team will help you be able to better track where you are and be able to better participate in the future. And I'll let Ron speak to some of the other programs that are available right now.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Everything Darius commented on, I think, is right on the money. It's so much of business is relationship based, and understanding not just what the opportunity is, but who you need to talk to, or how can you build a relationship with that entity to help your business and move it forward. And in design and construction, those are maybe even more magnified, because you tend to repeat business frequently with suppliers and contractors and designers that you've worked with before, and have a good record of delivery in those projects. So it's really important for a project for us, and a project like this, because of its scale and because of its duration, that we look to get outside of that kind of normal set of companies that might participate in this scale of project, and see if we can't grow companies out of this investment. So I think Darius is right, and I don't just assume that your business isn't capable of working on a project like this. Let's have a conversation and see what opportunities there might be. We're not doing bonding on the project. That's often one of the biggest holdups for emerging businesses on the construction side, is bonding capacity. Instead, we're doing what we call subcontractor default insurance, which is it's an insurance program essentially to help protect the owner and in the delivery of the project. But it allows us some more flexibility in how we introduce new companies or emerging companies or growing companies into that mix. We're also willing to work with you on cash flow if that's the constraint to get to scale. We can do fast pay or quick pay for businesses that need that quick cash turn as they're growing to do a project like this. So there's lots of opportunities. We'll show you the website here at the end that you can get to. It's wichitawaterworks.com, but we'll put that up on the screen. And then if all of those other things, if you can't find somebody to talk to, always feel free to get the name of your company, your contact information through the Vice Mayor's office, and we'll pick it up from there and make sure we reach out to you as well.
Thank you for that answer. I think both of you will help a great many people to have a little more faith in what they are doing, and reach out and, try to get some work done on this project. Thank you.
No, thank you. All right, Darius, you have this one final slide. Do you want to go through it real quick? Oh, Darius, you're still on mute.
I apologize.
We knew that was going to happen one time for this in this presentation, at least.
Well, going forward, we're not going to stop what we've been doing. We're only going to increase what we've been doing as a team at Wichita Water Partners. More collaboration, more thoughtful exercises, more boots on the ground to get more work done for the citizens of this region of the state of Kansas. So we're going to continue to evaluate data and build out our data model. So again, there's a lot of complex things that are going on with contracts and payments and identifying contractors and who they are. So we're going to continue to make sure we drill down into our data to make sure that our numbers that we present to City Council and that we're working off of to make decisions are as accurate as possible. Make sure that we maintain fidelity of all the data that we're going through on a regular basis. We're going to continue outreach and focus on construction and services, which are the two areas where we know we're going to have the biggest amount of contracting and spending with local and small business and other disadvantaged business firms. So where we know we're gonna need to focus, we're gonna focus. We're gonna keep identifying new contractors. And so, it's not just what Wichita Water Partners is doing, but work that, the people like the Create campaign, which the CEO and founder, Christina Long, is here, or KBS and other partners are doing, because we work other projects and we're engaged with other opportunities throughout the region and the state. And as we're picking up more contractors from these other events, we're going to bring them into this process. Again, we're going to encourage qualified businesses to become certified. It's so important. It's not going to hurt a business that's qualified to have that designation. And when they get that designation, it does not take away from the merits of the work that they can do. What it simply says is that if there's an opportunity and where there are requirements or good faith efforts for larger businesses to work with small businesses, we want to make sure that you do not miss that opportunity because you simply don't have a certification, which only takes you 5 minutes or 15 minutes to fill out an application, doesn't ask for any major personally identifiable information, but it's just very simple stuff that you fill out and then you get your cert, and we're able to help capture you inside this participation. And then we're also going to work with the state of Kansas on opening certification processes to non-transportation businesses. I had a conversation with Rhonda Harris last night from the Department of Commerce. There had been a temporary suspension of certification for DBEs, disadvantaged business enterprises, that aren't specifically transportation related. She said that as of now, they intend that process will be opened back up as early as June, maybe sooner. But then I also had a conversation with Senator Marshall's state director earlier this week about looking into what they can do from a political or federal standpoint, if there's resources or other things that need to happen to make sure that the state is able to facilitate that process. Because as we know, not only have businesses been affected by the pandemic, but state and local and federal offices have been as well. And so human capacity and resources to help field questions and go over these applications and things like that, do that due diligence, is also a strain right now. So just be guaranteed that we're going to continue to do the hard work and that this is just the beginning.
All right, thanks, Darius. So as we go to the next slide, I'd like to reintroduce Christina Long. Christina with CML Collective is helping us on a couple of other initiatives that we think are important to talk to you all about in the community. One of the challenges as you're trying to build minority businesses within a community like Wichita is we can come in and help, but often if you just come in and help in a particular type of business, just construction or just design, it doesn't really have the impact in the community that you need. So one of our initiatives is to try and help build minority businesses and minority business capacity throughout the community, regardless of what type of business you're in. We do that through what we call the Wichita Entrepreneurship and Innovation Series, which is going to be held a couple of times as we go through this process. Christina, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'll also say, Camilla, we're watching time, and I know that we had about an hour. So Christina, we've got about 10 minutes to get through this information.
Yep, that sounds great. Thank you very much for, again, having us to be able to share, again, another important commitment to the Wichita area community from Wichita Water Partners, and that is engaging and investing in the entrepreneurship community or the ecosystem. If you want to move forward, Drew, we'll tackle what this entrepreneurship and innovation series look to accomplish. And I'm very grateful for the sponsorship support of, again, Burns and McDonnell, Alberici, and also Evergy. So with this innovation series, Wichita area entrepreneurs and business owners who participated had the opportunity to be able to hear from guest experts from across the nation that were assembled by Dr. Fred McKinney. This was a 5-session series that was held in August through November. And not only did participants get to participate in an interactive business development experience, but they also were able to receive one-on-one office hour or guest expert support in one-to-one ratio business consulting that was very specific to the areas of strategy, financing, financial management, marketing, economics, and innovation. You can proceed. So throughout the series, we were able to accumulate the interest of 70 registrants. Of those, it does no good if the experience is not relevant to where people are. So we always ask and survey their opinions about the relevancy of the information that they were receiving, and also how impactful it was in their abilities to be able to grow strategically or to address a strategic need in their company. As you can see, with 100% of participants scoring the series with high ratings, there were no neutral or negative ratings received at all. It goes to the quality of information that was perceived and received from the series. Please proceed. So throughout the series as well, it was very important to be able to generate interest among the community. And so what we loved about Wichita Water Partners engagement throughout this is that there were multiple touch points. So starting back in October of 2019, we were able to connect in a small group setting with a few key stakeholders from organizations such as the Wichita Regional Chamber of Commerce. Of course, our friends and partners at Kansas Business Services were participating, the Wichita Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, the Heartland Black Chamber of Commerce, and even CREATE campaign to make sure that they were aware of what was going on, to get their input and make sure that they had buy-in to be able to share this opportunity with their invitees and their clients and participants as well. We had a kickoff event in January. Dr. Fred even came and was the keynote speaker for the CREATE campaign's annual entrepreneurship forum, where he not only gave best practices about what it means to be in business during a pandemic, but also queued up the opportunity for people to be aware that the series was coming. Again, it does no good to hold a series and no one knows that it's happening. So we really worked diligently with Dr. Fred and Wichita Water Partners to get the information out to the community to be able to participate. After the kickoff event, you can go ahead and go forward, Drew. After the kickoff event, we continued to field inquiries because at that time, COVID did change our plan from having it in person to actually making it a virtual series. But even through the virtual experience and the engagement, we were able to really touch on and hit and meet the needs of entrepreneurs. This is a short clip from one of our featured entrepreneurs, who is Nicole Williams from Incredibly Sweet. We're able to cue that up.
I was able to participate in the Wichita Entrepreneurship and Innovation Series, which was a gamut of information for any business owner on any level. So I encourage you to check that out because it has taught me so much about business and how to present yourself and how to actually propel your business to the next level. Actually, Dr. Fred, he was the one that taught me how to connect my business emotionally. He asked a question, what do you do in your business? And so if someone asks you what you do in your business, I would normally say, well, I sell chocolate covered strawberries, but it's not.
Sometimes we have a lag with Zoom to Facebook, but she was sharing. Drew, you can go ahead and go forward.
Instead of just
Yeah, you can go ahead and go forward to the next slide. What she was saying is it's not just the experience of sharing her strawberries with the clientele. It really is about creating the overall experience and to be able to take something as quote unquote simple as selling chocolate covered strawberries and really defining it and broadening it out to, we help to bring value and sweetness to your everyday celebrations, your everyday experiences. And it's those types of things when we're thinking about, again, Wichita Water Partners working on a water treatment facility job and still being able to have the engagement and the commitment to touch and reach businesses such as an Incredibly Sweet that talks about the value of the partnership. So this series is going to be returning in 2022. We will have information out so that people can get prepared and revved up to, again, take this series to the next level. In addition, that wasn't the only commitment that Wichita Water Partners is making as it relates to community engagement. They are also working in conjunction with WSU Tech to present an entrepreneurship education program. You can move forward, Drew. Through this particular program, not only will 5 companies who have signed on to be early adopters of this program offer 5 scholarships to participants, which actually will be or end up in a construction position in the field. This program extends the opportunity to create value, around the participants who are experiencing this entrepreneurship and apprenticeship education program. They will have 3 weeks working with their particular employer, and then they will enjoy 1 week of classroom participation where they will end up in a training and education system that will allow them to get certification in various programs. So this is a 2-year commitment. The application for this commitment the deadline for the application is April 16th, but it's a 2-year program where, again, they not only will have the opportunity to work in these particular construction trades, but they'll also be able to be under the guidance of a mentor. And again, as we're talking about expanding skills and experiences, that mentorship component of this is quite important as well. So on the right-hand side, you'll be able to see the requirements. There is information about this program on the Wichita Water Works website, as well as an Indeed job listing that does dictate and kind of outline more about what the qualifications and needs are for that particular program. Any questions about Burns & McDonnell's community engagement commitments?
Christina, can we go back to that last slide, please, Drew, and just pause to reference truly how a citizen in Wichita can be engaged and join in, and the difference between apprenticeship, job training opportunities, just to help with the language for our community.
Sure, absolutely. Ron, you want to speak more to this as you help to be at the table to cultivate this to an actuality?
Absolutely. So essentially, this opportunity is these are opportunities to move into construction as your trade. There's 5 companies here: CAS, Decker, Donlinger, UCI, and Wildcat, who have committed to hiring each of these 5 people. So you start working day 1, you have a job day 1, and then over the course of the next year, you'll have an educational component that will go along with the on-site work. We don't know whether they'll be working at the new water plant or some on another job for these companies, but our hope is they'll be working at the new water plant. You'll go, as Christina said, you'll go to 1 week of class a month. In the general carpentry program within WSU Tech. As you come out of that program, and then you've got a full year of again working under a supervisor or a mentor out on the site as well. So when you get to the end of year 2, you're a registered apprentice for construction, which means you are well qualified to continue forward in construction as your career. You'll have a degree from Wichita WSU Tech as part of that program, and you'll have 2 years of work experience in the field. So really great opportunities, I think, for anyone who is interested in construction, but may not have been exposed to construction or may not understand exactly what the opportunity that construction trades bring to the table. If anybody has any questions on that, I'll extend the same offer that we did with Darius, that either I or Christina would be happy to walk you through that, introduce you to the companies. If you think you might be interested at all, I would encourage you to apply so that we can have that conversation and make sure that it's of interest. But I think just a really great opportunity to introduce new folks into construction through a program that lets them both get an educational component and a hands-on in the field component while they're getting paid to work. That's the best part of this whole thing, is that they have a job the whole way through.
Wonderful context.
Want to add to that?
The only other thing that I'd like to add to that is just, again, a recognition of the commitment as well. For those who are accepted into the program, is free tuition. The cost will be waived for you to participate. So again, we are excited about what opportunities this can unlock for those who are looking to enter the field. And as we as a city are thinking about how do we make Wichita an attractive place to be able to retain talent, grow up our talent, and keep our talent here, it's going to be these innovative opportunities, collaborations, and partnerships that help to do so.
All right, Drew, why don't you go forward just maybe once again so everybody can see where you apply. And again, as long as Camille and the Vice Mayor's office are are willing, if you have any troubles, you can contact us through their office, and we'll be happy to reach back out to you as well. So there's the website again, and then you can apply on Indeed as well. So let us know if you have interest, and we will certainly move it forward. So I think we just have one other slide to talk about here today, and it's just really it's just a thank you slide. You know, our neighbors across the street from this construction site are the Sedgwick County Zoo. So as part of trying to be a good neighbor for them, we did a little fundraiser. We have a at least 8-foot tall inflatable gorilla out on site to celebrate the zoo being across the street. We held a naming contest for him to raise money for the zoo as well. We raised a little over $5,000 for the zoo, and Hydro Joe was the name selected. So thanks to Vice Mayor Johnson and Councilwoman Claycomb and Councilman Fry as well as the county and the zoo for helping us put on this. We did raise Hydro Joe up to the top of the tower cranes. He stayed up there for a bit. Now he roams the site and can be seen in different locations often when you're out visiting the project site. So, Vice Mayor, I hope that covers what you wanted us to cover. If there's any questions, I'm happy to stay on as long as you would like to try and answer those for the participants.
It was a great presentation. I appreciate you. And I wondered how Hydro Joe was doing with all that wind we had here recently.
Yeah, he had to move inside for a bit.
I bet. Well, yeah, I don't see any questions on Facebook, and I don't see any in the chat. So again, I appreciate the presentation, letting folks know about the opportunities available and seeing that we are working towards those goals and giving them an opportunity to reach out. And Darius and KBS especially, folks now have a face to the name and know who they can reach out to, even if they have any doubts about their business being able to work on this project. So that question actually came from 3 people I've talked to. So I'm going to share this with them directly.
All right.
Thank you all. All right. Believe Camila, you said we had Fire on to talk about the new tools that we have.
Fire staff had another commitment, but I do have a document to screen share just to let the community know and see the data that's coming up when it comes to all the service alarms that they take. Well, let me say that they are called out to. So I'm going to bear with me as I screen share real quick this document. Can I get a thumbs up if you can see this page on the screen now? Thank you. The fire department is excited to share real-time data that's entered daily. And so I'm going to zoom in real quick and share as of March 21st. We have information for all 6 districts. So of course, we're going to hit on the best district in Wichita for District 1, and to share that the different, this column shows all the calls and incidents that took place and how busy the fire department was for March, but they also included the legend that kind of shares what type of alarms go out. And I think a lot of the community is unaware of the different types of alarms that the fire department takes care of and handles, along with EMS and the Wichita Police Department as needed. So this is just general information letting us know, excuse me, as situations arise, the different categories that the fire department uses and collects data about. And we're actually in April is the burn ban month, so you are not allowed to burn outside due to our weather conditions. And here's 2020 data. So we had less fires, alarms in 2020 compared to 2021. And just wanted to just highlight this information, and even in 2019. So we're grateful for reporting tools and data. Sometimes people say our fire department is not active, or they see them at the YMCA exercising or at the grocery store, not realizing they're on call for 24 hours and they're just trying to live a little in between those calls. And so we're very grateful for the fire department and the data and the information that was shared. And they even go as far as showing the fires that take place, the addresses of those fires, the structure damage and the content damage. And so the bottom of this page, it just shows in March of 2021, we had 2 structure fires at some addresses there. So that ends my update for the fire department. I cannot take questions or concerns, but we can refer them back to the fire department staff as needed.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for that. For anyone watching online or who will be watching later, we did talk about this at the district advisory board meeting. So that meeting is available online as well to go back to and refer. It's a great tool, lots of good information for everyone to kind of deep dive into the reports that we normally receive. This is the stuff that we get on the council level too. Actually, it's a little deeper than what we were getting. So good information just to share with the community there. I don't have a lot of updates. Do we have anything else, Camila?
As far as speaker presentation, no, just general announcements. It's just to remind, during COVID, we have a lot of financial constraints. So if you come across someone who's needing help with rental assistance and utilities, that there's still programs out there, county and statewide. So to reach out to our local neighborhood resource centers and United Way 211, due to the a good extension from the federal government for filing your taxes, there are still some free tax appointments available in the community through United Way. Just dial 211. If you make $60,000 or less, you could have your taxes prepared for free. And I think that's something, it's a missed opportunity in Wichita. For some of us, I participate in the program and you receive fair services for under that program. And then lastly, summer camp. So we were gearing up for summer camp, summer youth employment for youth, so to keep our kids busy. So please check out wichita.gov Park and Rec website. You have your YMCA sites. And if you're looking for employment for youth age 14 to 16, hypekansas.com, HYPEKANSAS.com for summer youth employment opportunities. Majority of this information is listed in the last District 1 newsletter, which you can find in the Wichita District 1 Facebook page feed also.
Awesome updates. So piggybacking on some of that, anyone who has applied for the rental assistance program, we are ramping up staff. So we received a high number of applications early. We were kind of building this plane as we were flying it. So that I know that there's some frustration out there. I've been receiving those emails, but we are hiring more staff to catch up with that and get those applications processed. Just make sure you have all of the required documentation. That is one of the things holding us up right now. All of that documentation is listed on the site. You can go to wichita.gov/housing for the application. It'll show you all the income guidelines and things that you need. There are also businesses that don't have leases right now that I am aware of. You have a template on the site that you can use and work with us to get that, and talking with our director if your landlord is not working with you. There is a process to go around the landlord to get assistance anyway to make sure your rent's paid. So if you do have a landlord that's giving you a hard time, there is a way around that. Just make sure you get in touch with our staff. Outside of that, today is opening day at the baseball stadium. Wichita State will be playing a game around 1 o'clock, I believe. Try to get there early. Please do remember, though, we're still in a pandemic. So keep your distance, keep your hands washed. If you feel more comfortable wearing a mask, do so. And I've had both my shots and I am fine. I want to encourage you all to get the vaccine as well. But that is happening today. Also on that, been asked multiple times about a Wichita mask mandate. At this point, there doesn't seem to be enough support for that on the council. So what I would just say is I encourage you to go get your vaccine, continue wearing your mask. Even without a mandate, you can still wear your mask. And for business owners who really wanted that help, I definitely apologize, but I'm supportive of wearing masks. And hopefully we can be civil towards one another. I know last year I heard quite a bit of angry citizens that didn't want to wear a mask, yelling at employees and businesses. And folks are just trying to make a living and keep their doors open. So the more civil we can be, the better off for our city. Just want to encourage everybody to do that, but still wear your mask. The CDC says to do it. And also, if you feel more comfortable, wear your mask, keep your distance. Even today, as I might be at the stadium, I'll be keeping my distance. I have hand sanitizer on me as well. So still taking those safety protocols. And then lastly, ethics wise, I want to encourage you all to look at every district. You can go to Wichita District 1, Wichita District 2, and so on through District 6. Check out the District Advisory Board meetings. I believe it's the last item of every meeting, the ethics presentation and discussion with the DAB board members. Check that out. Get involved in that. Let your council member know and the mayor what you think about ethics, the discussion, if you have any suggestions or ideas, because we will be voting on that next month. We decided as a council yesterday to have a workshop at the end of April to discuss the suggestions and conversations from each district advisory board member and maybe give staff some guidance before we try to vote on the final version of the ethics policy. But definitely we want to have your thoughts on that. Again, we work for you and you are our bosses. And ultimately, we want you to help us decide what's going to govern us. If you recall, the policy we have now really is just aspirational. It's just words. There is no real penalty. We have to come up with that. So this policy actually has all of that. It outlines what we should be doing. It outlines what happens if we don't. And right now there's some detailed discussion around the definitions of friends, the definitions of, or what it means to have undue influence, budgeting limits on lunches and dinners, coffees. I think those are the two, well, probably the third biggest item to talk about is what the Ethics Advisory Board would look like. There was some concern around the randomization process, who appoints who. So all of that discussion, we're open to hear ideas. District 1's advisory board had some really good thoughts on that. So definitely engage in that. And then lastly, for me, I have open appointments and it's been hard to get folks interested. So I do have a library board seat open right now. Haven't had anyone apply for that. So if you live in District 1, please apply for that if you're interested. I have 3 district advisory board seats open. I've tried to keep those varied around the district. So there are some applications I have, but I don't want, the whole DAB or half the DAB to be from one area. I really want to get some interesting perspective from around District 1. So I'm looking for someone in the northern part, like the Falcon Falls area of District 1, potentially Beacon Hill, and definitely south of Kellogg. And there's Linwood area and there's Schweider south of Kellogg. So those areas don't really have representation right now. Love to have somebody from that area apply so we can get them appointed. And then I can't remember the specific retirement board that's open, but it's been open since 2018. So if you like numbers and you like investment and finance, apply for that. We'll get you appointed. So
Vice Mayor, may
yeah.
I add also that our youth DAB member position will be open after May.
Yes, youth DAB member. So that position is one I've been talking with Camila about, rotating that per school year rather than appointment year, because our youth DAB members getting off after school because he wants to work for the summer and prepare for going to college. So if you have a young person in high school interested, they won't be a voting member, but they get to be as vocal as they want, ask as many questions as they want, get as much information as possible, and learn a lot about local government being a part of the district advisory board. So definitely get those applications coming in. Again, if you live in District 1, high schools in District 1, even though the busing area might be a little different, East High is in District 1, Heights is in District 1, Chester Lewis Academy is in District 1. I think that's it on the high schools. There's a few middle schools, but I don't think we go down that low, but they can start looking at being interested in that. And then, of course, always look at the Mayor's Youth Council when those applications come out. It's a great way to get involved. I think that's it for me. Happy to answer any questions from anyone still on Zoom. Haven't been seeing anything on Facebook. Does anyone have any questions? Lonnie, yes. Advisory board members should be notified the new standards are being considered for them, but they also already fall under our last policy. So the policy is for all elected and appointed folks because the appointed individuals are extensions of the elected. So our staff ethics policy does not impact them, but this new one will impact them. So really it's revising what's already there that influences them. So it's not really a change for them since they were already under an ethics policy. It just had no teeth and was simply aspirational. Other than that, I think I can give you all your Saturdays 10 minutes early so you can enjoy those additional 10 minutes. Enjoy some of the weather, maybe get some grilling done before you head over to the baseball stadium and check out what it looks like. If you have not seen it, you will be wowed. I have not had a full tour. I refused to do it until there was an opening day where I could really see what it looks like. But pay attention to the artwork. There's a lot of history there that most people didn't know about, especially the Negro teams that were in Wichita that we made sure were included in that artwork. So learn that history, check out the stadium, definitely tour it, look at the wonderful layout, and just imagine what it's going to look like when we can revitalize the East Bank as well. So with that, have a wonderful Saturday. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you to the water partners, KBS, Donna got off, but thank you to Donna, Ron, Christina, Darius, Drew for working the PowerPoint. You all were awesome. Camila, as always. So we will see you next month in person.